Today we're going to be covering how you can improve ROI and a few different tips and tricks that you can implement to help impress your clients and show the ROI of the work that you're doing for them. If you could let me know that you can hear me okay, that you can see the presentation deck on the screen, please go ahead and use the chat box and just let me know that everything is working fine. And then we're going to get straight into things because I know that we are a couple minutes behind schedule, so I won't hang around. Everyone should be here and ready to go, so we'll jump straight in. Awesome. Okay, I can see a few people saying they can see us and they can hear us. Before we get started, I do have one question. I can already see a few familiar faces, but can you let me know if this is the first time you've been on one of these webinars before? That would be really great. And if you've been here before, then welcome back. You can let us know that you're here again. I can see Todd, who I know is here on most webinars, I think. Okay, so Dawn is here for the first time. Devon, first time. Yep, Todd is a regular. How about everybody else? I can see there are just over 22 people right now. Okay, Michael, Natalie, second time, Lester, first time. Cool. So we have a good mix of people. So let's get straight into today's content, because I know that's what you all came here for. And today we're going to be covering three core things. Now I don't know why the text is showing this way, but hopefully you can read this okay. Basically, we're going to be covering and just talking a little bit about why proving ROI is important and why having discussions around ROI is really important to potential clients, current clients, etc. Then we'll be talking about 5 different tips and tricks that you can utilize to impress your clients, some of them to show clearly return on investment, and others just tips around how you can bring conversations around return on investment into the discussions that you're having with your customers. And then we'll finish by doing some Q&A at the end of the session. Now, one thing we will also cover for some of you who have been here or are here for the first time, we will talk very briefly about the Promo Republic agency specific solution and offering. And I will show you for 2 or 3 minutes, if the screen sharing works okay, I'll show you for a few minutes what that solution looks like and how it can benefit you and your business. It won't by any means be a full-scale demo or anything like that, but just to make you aware, there will be that involved as well. And I do really encourage everybody to stick around until the end, because that's when I can answer these questions live that some of you may have. I know these webinars are all recorded and they're all put on the YouTube channel for Promo Republic, but I believe in the near future that kind of accessibility might be removed, and it might be put behind a kind of what's the word, like an email wall where you need to sign up to get access to that. So I really would recommend, if you can stay around for the whole time, then do. There will be a recording afterwards, but as I said, I don't know how long that'll be around for. So for anyone who is new here, who hasn't been on one of these webinars before, I'll just give you a really quick introduction to myself and also what this webinar series is all about, because I think that is important to cover too. So back in 2018, last year, Promo Republic, some of you, or most of you if you're here, will know who Promo Republic are. Some of you may use Promo Republic already, some of you won't. But last year, Promo Republic launched a agency-specific solution. So it's a version of their tool and their software that is specifically tailored towards agency owners and freelancers to help them save time, grow their revenues, and build better relationships with their clients. And it has some incredible functions, some loads of great stuff. But around that launch and ever since that happened, the team at Promo Republic really wanted to focus a lot and put a lot of time and effort and energy into building this incredible community and resource center for other agency owners and for freelancers. And we put together this webinar series. I believe this is maybe even the 27th webinar. I'm not too sure. We kind of stopped counting, but we've done lots of webinars, lots of value-packed webinars. We also have a great section on the blog specifically for agency owners and freelancers. We have a Facebook community called the Agency Owner and Freelancer Academy, which I recommend all of you join. I think we're at 500 members there now. And every few months we put together a huge online summit with some of the leading names in the digital marketing space as well. So what I'm getting at here is Promo Republic decided to put a lot of energy and investment into being the leading free resource for agency owners and freelancers to help you grow your businesses. And that's where I come in. So I don't work full-time for Promo Republic. You can think of me as a evangelist or a brand ambassador. I, like many of you, actually run my own agency. So I set up my own marketing agency in May of last year. We actually specifically focus on PPC campaigns and landing pages for SaaS and software companies, and we're starting to build out that niche even more now. And had a very successful first year in doing that. And previous to that, I worked for a few kind of exciting startups like Leadfeeder and companies that many of you will know, like Hootsuite. I have a podcast, and as you see here, my work has been featured in multiple places. Aside from my agency business, I like to also spend a lot of time supporting other agency owners, freelancers, people first getting into online marketing with building and growing this business. I also have my own Facebook community, a YouTube channel, and lots of other areas. I do one-to-one coaching. I have a program coming out soon too. So that's a real quick intro about me and about what this agency and freelancer academy scheme is for, why we put this together. And yeah, so for any of you that haven't been here before, now you should be up to speed. So let's get into the conversation around why proving ROI is so important. But before we do that, I would love to find out from those of you who haven't shared this information with me before, if you haven't been on these webinars before, do me a huge favor and let me know what kind of size your agency is right now in terms of employees, maybe clients that you serve would actually be a better metric. And let me know what your focus is. Are you doing social media management? Are you doing content creation, PPC like I am? I would love to hear from some of you before we kick on and get into things. And whilst everyone is typing away their answers, I will also just let you guys know something. So throughout this webinar, there will be a couple of opportunities where I will put a like a button that will come up on the screen. And as I said, we'll be talking about the Proving Roi Public Agency solution a couple of times throughout this webinar. If that does ever pique your interest, and if you do want to find out a bit more about what is different about the agency solution, specifically why it's better than the standard Proving Roi Public solution for you, how it can help you grow your business faster, how it can help you connect and collaborate better with your clients, then you can actually use the button that I put on the screen to schedule a call with somebody in the team. And that will just be a quick call. It won't be a real pushy sales call. You don't have to worry about that. It will just be someone who will be there to answer your questions, show you the platform, show you how you could utilize it. But anyone who schedules a call using the link that I'll share on the webinar today will also receive some really cool kind of bonuses. But these bonuses and these calls are only available to 5 people. So once 5 people have scheduled the call from this webinar, the button will stop working. And basically those really great bonuses are a list of over 60 different resources that can help you grow your agency business. So different tools, different softwares, all of their websites, all of their descriptions, like what these tools do, how they can help you, and some other resources bundled into there as well. And then there will also be a new thing that we're giving away. So as I said, we've done nearly 30 webinars now. The first 8 webinars were real core, like really important things when it comes to building, scaling, growing an agency business, and with varying different topics. But those first 8 webinars, we've packaged it all together so that you can actually get access to all of the slide decks that are used for those webinars, along with all of my notes to those webinars too. So you'll get that if you schedule onto a call, and you will also be entered into, anyone who schedules a call with the team will be entered into like a prize draw almost, if you want to call it that, where once every month we will select someone who can have a one-to-one consulting call with me as well if you go on and purchase the agency solution. So if you do want to find out more about it, I'm happy to answer questions at the end, but the best thing to do is schedule a call using the button that we'll put on the screen, and you'll get access to a ton of really great freebies as well. Okay, so I can see we have Cynthia, who is a solo writer promoting my own brand, which is great. Devon Daniels, agency size 500 plus. Devon, is that 500 plus employees, customers? I'd love to find out. It sounds really big, which is great. Dawn has 7 employees, 64 clients doing PPC, retargeting, social media management, web design, and reputation management. Devon, creating, promoting my own business. Awesome. Okay, Sherry says, I can see you, but it says I've joined the call, but the only one here. Don't worry, Sherry, there are 30 different people on here now, I believe. So we also have Kristen, a freelance PR consultant. Welcome to Trian from Indonesia. Sonia, if you already have the agency solution, how can you get the freebies? Sonia, that is a very good question. If you have a customer success person, maybe reach out to them. If not, let me know and I can see if I can help you. I can go into the Slack and let the team know. Luke has an agency for VR, which is cool. Devon, 500 employees. 2 major clients, still trying to branch out. Wow, okay. Awesome. Great. Well, it's great to have you here, Devon. Cool. So let's get into things. Why is proving ROI so important? Now, some of you have been on these webinars before. The next kind of 4 slides we actually had in a webinar that I gave 2 months ago now, but I thought they were so valuable and relevant that I wanted to cover them again. So some of you may have seen this. I know for a lot of you this is going to be new. So just to pre-frame that for anyone who's been here before. So if you cannot prove, like why proving ROI is so important, if you can't prove ROI to your customers, there is absolutely no reason for your customers to stay with you. Like, why would someone invest in a service, not see any return from it, and keep going with that service? And if that continues to happen, you'll lose your customers, and then this is the kind of thing that's going to happen, which of course we don't want that. Okay, but I didn't want to start this webinar on a negative note. So let's go through a little story. I think a lot of you will resonate with this. I think this is a challenge and an issue that many agency owners face, but it's something that's important to cover today. So how many of you have experienced this before? This is you and your team, maybe on a Friday afternoon. You've just put together your monthly report for one of your clients. The numbers are all going in what you think is the right direction. And actually, in fact, since you've been working with that client, the results that you've seen have been incredible, in your opinion. So you're all high-fiving each other, going to the pub, to the bar for a much-deserved, like, backslapping and a celebratory drink like we see here. Everyone has seen this, right? Everyone has seen success with some of their clients, or what they thought was success with some of their clients. But then, how many of you have had this happen? A few days later, you get this phone call, maybe you get this email that comes totally out of the blue. You're looking super stressed out like this guy, and the client says to you, hey, look, unfortunately, we no longer want to work with you. We want to end our contract, or we don't want to continue next month. And you're thinking, how on earth can this happen, right? You're absolutely shocked because, in your opinion, you were absolutely killing it. On Friday, you were just celebrating the great results from the report that you'd sent to them. And I've heard variations on this story tons of times now. I think there are instances, of course, when the factors that led to that decision being made by the client are entirely out of your control. But many times, losing clients like this is completely avoidable, and it's because of issues behind and between not just sharing and proving ROI, but talking about what metrics matter with your clients, right? And the problem with a typical report that many of us are sending is it's only telling half of the story. Maybe there is an upward trajectory in traffic. Maybe there is a good upward trajectory in conversion rate, or even revenue is going in the right direction. But that does not necessarily always translate into the business metrics that matter the most to the companies that you're working with. And neither does a stats report typically reflect what really matters to the client over and above the agreed KPIs that you agree on, like traffic. And I can see that Luca is agreeing with this. Me, right now, I have an offer to make and I need to prepare KPIs. Okay. So this is something that resonated very well with people who are on the webinar a month ago now. And that's why I wanted to bring it back up, because we're talking about ROI. And this ties in very, very well. I discovered this article a month ago when I was preparing the webinar deck about customer and client communication. And I discovered this term that someone shared called the value spectrum. And I want to talk about it because I think understanding this is what's going to set you apart from other agencies and stop you having those kind of experiences that we just discussed a second ago. So what is the value spectrum? This is how the article, as I said, this isn't my idea, this value spectrum thing. I'm borrowing this from some blog that I found online, but I think it's really valuable, and I agree with this a lot too. This is the value spectrum, the 3 layers of value: value, added value, and created value. And we're going to talk about that now. So let's say you offer a PPC service like I do. A prospect has a specific need in that they want to increase traffic, they want to increase sales and lead generation. You are one of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of agencies, freelancers, or consultants who could set up and manage a PPC campaign to meet those goals. Anyone can set up a PPC campaign, right? The difference in performance between the worst and the best suppliers might be really significant. Of course it is going to be. If you've never done this before versus someone that's done this for 10 years or has great experience with this, the results in performance could be hugely different. But there's that middle ground where the difference is actually marginal. And as a result, the prospect is probably going to look for the cheapest solution within this marginal section. And who can blame them, right? There's very little to distinguish one supplier for another when we get to this point. So let's say your agency has a lot of experience, though, in the prospect sector. Combined with this, you're able to demonstrate how you'll deliver a better ROI than your competition with your proprietary tools or your knowledge and understanding of the market. So now we're starting to get somewhere. This is where there is some added value in your offering. This is when we get to this section here, the added value. Okay, you have experience within this niche, within this sector. However, this still might not be enough to win the business. So many USPs, things like transparency, people, tools, are not really USPs at all, not in the mind of the prospect anyway. Instead, they're actually just hygiene factors, the minimum expected standards. Everybody should have a good team, everybody should have good tools, transparency, etc. And this is where the right-hand side of the value spectrum, this created value space, this is where this can make all of the difference, especially in a market like it is right now, where it's saturated with suppliers who are all offering broadly within reason a similar service or similar kind of things. And that's because value is not one size fits all. Instead, it's something that's unique to each client and each agency relationship. And value does come in many different forms, of course. So it does, of course, include the tangible results that you deliver. But if this is the extent of value you create for your clients, it would make you very easily replaceable. So you have to think of other ways to add value too. And I think the mistake that many agencies make is they only seek to understand value in the context of the business. Whilst, of course, this matters, companies don't buy your services, people do. I'm just going to say that again. Companies don't buy your services, people buy your services, and people buy from people, and people want to see the additional created value that you can provide to them. And therefore, it's equally important to understand the issues or challenges faced by the individual that you're selling to, along with the outcomes they're looking to achieve. So let's say a client of yours wants you to help them manage a campaign that they're running right now, and you need to be asking them other questions aside from just the results. Things like, what are your priorities? Where would you like to be in 6 months? What obstacles are you facing? Etc. 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 And this value spectrum, like, I could talk about this for a very long time, but I'm not going to hang around here for too long because I do want to get through to the kind of additional content that we have. But one thing I will say is that when you understand what really matters to the prospect and put it at the center of your solution, your planning processes, your reporting, your reviews, that's when you'll find yourself becoming an invaluable strategic partner to your clients, as opposed to an easily replaceable commodity and agency. And that's really key to think about. So if you're seeing a lot of client churn, it might be because you're just not winning the right business in the first place. Maybe it might be you're just not very good at marketing, but I doubt that's the case. I would encourage you to be completely honest with yourselves right now and plot where each of your clients are on the value spectrum at the moment. And more often than not, they'll be sitting over in this kind of middle ground, and you want to try and get them over here as quickly as possible. And that's when you're going to be having the best relationships with your clients. And this comes through proving ROI as well. Does that make sense? Like, do people find the kind of the value spectrum idea that I talked about interesting there? Because I can actually share the original article I read, because I think you'll find it interesting. Let me just find it whilst I'm waiting for a few of you to talk about this. Let's do the value spectrum. Okay, great. So Todd says it makes a lot of sense. Devon says it makes sense. Lucas says, if it's possible, yes. I would love to know what you mean by that, Lucas. See if we can dive down into that. Okay, cool. So let's continue into 5 ways that you can impress your clients and help prove ROI. Oh, the document. Okay, I get you, Luca. Yeah, so it was a blog post. I'm just trying to find it actually, and I am struggling. So let's check one more time. The value spectrum digital marketing. I'm going to Google search that. I feel like if I search the value spectrum digital marketing, I might have a good chance to find it, but who knows? Actually, here we go. I think I have it. I think I have it, Luca. Here we go. And you can see I modeled some of the presentation deck on this article. So I'm going to share the article in the chat box for you all right now. It's really interesting. Check it out after this webinar when you have time. You're going to see a lot of what I said came from this article, but you might find it interesting to reference at a later point. So 5 ways to impress your clients and help prove ROI. But before we get into these strategies, I think it's really important to say that proving ROI will be easier for some of you than others. And when I say that, I mean proving ROI from a solid aspect, like it's where it's very black and white. You either have generated them a positive return on their investment or you haven't. We can't always prove that. It depends on what your service offering is. Like with me and my agency, we just do PPC, paid ads, right? And the companies we work for, or work with are usually software businesses, SaaS companies. That's it right now. And we're starting to branch out, but they're all selling a product, and we can tie the sales volume and the sales value directly to the ads that we're running. So it's very clear for us to show them ROI. But let's say you're doing content marketing or you're doing social media management, it's not as clear. It can be harder to find those metrics. So I also want to bear in mind, I tried to keep these next 5 points beneficial for everybody and usable for everyone, but ROI depends on what the beholder is classing as ROI too, whether it's that very clear ROI, whether it's like emotional ROI, right? And that's something we'll talk about in a second. And as I said, some of these tips are fairly simple, but the things that a lot of us will be, I can guarantee a lot of you will be missing. I work with and support one-to-one a lot of agency owners, helping them grow their businesses and their personal brands too, and talk with a lot of agency businesses. So I know these are things I can support you with. So number one, it may seem very, very simple, but setting clear expectations from the beginning of any client relationship is really important to helping you prove ROI further down the line. And actually, I found this stat that said just 39% of agencies manage to meet initial client expectations. And that's probably not because they failed to do good work. It's actually because they have more often than not guaranteed an ROI in their discovery process when there are too many factors at play to be able to do that, or they've set too big expectations and haven't lived up to those, but they've still done a good job. I made this mistake a few times at my agency, and actually not too long ago, I made mistakes like this too, where we kind of over-promised and slightly under-delivered, I would say, even though the delivery aspect still got them positive results. So goal setting is essential for any campaign, any client you work with. If you don't take the time to sit down with them, work out goals, work out what you're trying to achieve, but also set expectations around how you're going to achieve that and how you're going to communicate, etc., it will be impossible to know whether you're planning and whether your campaigns are a success. And this is especially important when working with a client. So both parties need to take part in this process. Both of you need to be on the same page. And there are definitely a few elements and few key elements to this as well. The other thing I wanted to say is that as a rule, it's best to avoid surprises. Clients don't want to work with an agency that adapts on the fly. They actually, more often than not, want to work with a company that's organized and well-oiled machine almost. So I think it's really important that when you're starting to work with new clients, you understand them, understand what they want to see. You then reset their expectations so they align with yours, and you clearly explain how you typically work and what your work is going to look like specifically for that client and specifically for that customer you're going to be working with, what your processes are, and why they suit the campaigns that you're working on. Now, number two, this kind of ties in with setting expectations, and it's focusing on a baseline metric, or what some people would call a North Star metric. And I just put some screenshots on here that I'll talk through in a moment because there are a few ideas for you. But early in the process, your agent begin tracking the performance of your campaigns and your marketing efforts using a baseline or a North Star metric that has been agreed upon by the client. At first, the agency or your agency might base your projections on industry standards, but once you've taken a deep dive into the project and started working with the clients, your metrics really have to be built around individual and specific data. And the metrics that you choose to focus on, like, of course, with many of your clients, there'll be more than one metric that matters, but it's great to have a few of those, but you have to align on those with your clients. And it depends on a project by project basis. So this, let me get my pencil on the screen. This one here, hopefully you can all see my pencil, right? So this is an idea for people that are doing like SEO campaigns and organic traffic for their clients and how they can prove ROI. Let's say this was a post you wrote for one of your clients where you helped them with 16 B2B cold email templates. You can go into Ahrefs or SEMrush, whichever tool you're using, and see the estimated value of the traffic that is being driven, or the traffic that's coming through to this post, and what you'd have to pay to get this traffic via PPC. This is a good way to show the value of the work that you've done. Now, this down here in the bottom left corner, this is a snapshot from Instapages. This is a way that PPC agencies, if they use Instapage or even using their Google Ads dashboard, can show the value of what you're doing. This is very black and white, very clear. This is the average cart value. This is what it costs to get someone through that point. Now, those of you that are doing social media management and content creation, maybe one of your goals or your North Star metric can be how active a community you're building around the brands you're working with. So this Instagram post from Mercedes-Benz, we can see it's got over 1 million views, which is great, but look at all the great engagement here and all the people engaging and commenting on the post. This can be a great metric for people doing social media management to focus on that community building aspect. And actually, one way that you can really support that now, included within the agency specific solution of Promo Republic, is through the social monitoring add-on. So how many of you are offering community management for your clients? Because if you're posting for them on social, the next thing is you want to build a community around this post. I'd love to know how many of you are offering community management, or how many of you are spending time trying to go through and find all the mentions of your brands, etc. Even managing reviews. Are any of you managing reviews on Google My Business? I know we have a lot of people in here who usually work with local businesses, and I know how important Google My Business can be. And Promo Republic social monitoring is one of the few social media tools out there that has a direct integration with Google My Business. So I'm going to put, for the first time now on the screen, just for a couple minutes, the option where you can schedule a call to learn a bit more about the Promo Republic agency solution, learn a bit more about social monitoring if you want to, and get access to all of those great freebies that I mentioned. So this is one thing that's that really is awesome. When I worked for Hootsuite a long time ago, we were always focused on community building, and this is a huge value add for your clients as well. If you're managing social media management for them, content creation, etc., that's the kind of standard, right? If you want to get to that added value, that right-hand side of the value spectrum that we talked about, this is one great way to do that. And I believe that the social monitoring is only an additional $49 a month. So it's really, really valuable. And you can see all of your mentions for all of your clients from all of the different social channels, all directly in one place. You can triage them, resolve them, answer them, assign them to people, get back to them, etc. So this is one thing that's really, really cool. So if anyone's interested in that, go ahead, use the schedule a call button. Let's get to point number 3, because I think this one is very, very important. This is something that I'm learning right now, and that is that reporting is absolutely everything, right? There are so many metrics available to us, and a lot of agencies want to know how to determine what to include in a report. So in answer to that, you have to balance data that will resonate with the client, but also data that effectively measures results, as well as those North Star metrics that you agreed on with the clients. Client reporting best practices also almost always include an educational component, because many clients of yours actually won't know what half of these metrics mean or what they should be tracking. And this is where you must step in within that reporting to provide teaching and guidance, etc. And this is something that when you're considering what to put in your reports, consider the KPIs that you discuss with the client throughout the discovery process that we talked about earlier on in this webinar, the baseline and North Star metrics. Now, just to share a story with you, actually, it's also important with things like reporting. Actually, I'm gonna get to this point a little bit later on, but it is important with things like reporting to remember that your client, of course, they're focused on results, but they need to be able to see these results. Like we had a client before we're still working on improving our reporting process actually, but a while ago there was a client of ours where we were generating a really positive return on investment for them. Actually, in a few of the ad campaigns, the return on ad spend was like for every one they put in, they were getting 12 back out, which was great. But we no longer work with that client, and one of the reasons isn't because of the results that we were getting for them, because they were great. It was that our reporting process wasn't great, so they didn't understand the results too well, and our processes weren't as smooth as they could be. So things like reporting, I used to think it was minimal because I thought, okay, as long as we're getting a positive ROI for our clients, they're never going to leave us. But something as simple as a nice, good-looking report being sent to them can make a huge difference to whether you retain that client or not. And we all want to retain clients for as long as we can, because retaining clients is so much easier than winning new ones. So one thing I want to show to you right now we can actually quickly do a little walkthrough, well, not a walkthrough, but like a screen share from the Promo Republic agency specific solution, because there's a very, very quick and simple and easy way that you can utilize it specifically for reporting. And I thought whilst we're going to talk about reporting, it makes sense to show you how it works, and also to just give you a quick tour of a few of the features of the agency solution, show you how it can help you grow and scale your business. As I said, this will only be a couple minutes, so please don't leave us now. We still have 2 more exciting points to cover, as well as the Q&A end of the session. So I'm just going to work on the screen sharing now. Now, last week on the webinar, when we started to screen share, we had audio problems. So please let me know In a second, the screen share should come up. Hopefully the audio doesn't cut out. Please use the text box if there are any issues, though, to let me know. I'm just going to select my application now. Okay, we should be screen sharing. So if you can let me know in the chat box that you can see my screen. Yeah, okay, you can. And you can still hear me okay. Okay, great, awesome. So this is the Promo Republic dashboard. First thing I'm going to show you is the analytics section using like a demo account, just so you can see how quickly you can build and create reports for your clients. So you can come into reporting. As I said, this is only available to agency-specific customers, but you can see we have all of these different features and functions within the report. Things are broken down by like total page likes, total reach, engagement, posts published. You can break down the reach metrics by paid and organic, by engagement metrics like likes, comments, clicks, shares, how many posts you've published, posting habits, etc., what your top posts are last few days, the efficiency of the post, all this great stuff. And this is just a Facebook page activity from the last couple of days, but all of this can be exported into a PDF report, which you can share with your clients, and it's instant. As you can see, there we go, boom, export is ready. So this is one great way that you can quickly run through that, and you also have some basic statistics that you can check out. This is broken down by all your different pages that you manage on the different social channels that they have. So you can sort your posts by the most organic reach, for example, from the last 7 days here. We can expand the time frame if we want to. So we can see here, this post was the best reaching organic post for the Promo Republic Facebook page, reach of 350. It was a post about one of our webinars. You can see all the metrics here. And again, all of this can also be exported, I believe. So this is a really great way that you can instantly create great reports for your clients very, very quickly. How cool does that look? Let me know if you're excited by that. And let me know if you can still hear me too. I would really appreciate that. Okay, I can see a few people typing away. I think let's just wait and see, make sure everyone can hear me still. Got me? Okay, awesome, cool. So this now, you'll notice the dashboard has changed and it's pink. The reason it's pink is the agency-specific solution of Promo Republic. This is one of the most exciting features to me anyway, is you can fully white label the solution, right? So what we're seeing, the reason it's pink, and you can see this love heart in the top left-hand corner, that's because we built this just as a quick example when we were doing a webinar on Valentine's Day. But you can have this fully branded with your agency's brand board, like your colors, your logos, your names, your own URL up here, so that it looks as though you have your own social media tool. Now, your clients can get access to this and they can see this, which we'll talk about in a moment. But imagine how useful this can be, and imagine how much of a value add this can be, which we talked about earlier on, how important value adds are. Like the positioning it shows to your new clients that, oh wow, these guys have their own tool, they're really well organized, etc. So everything can be fully white labeled, which is awesome. Now, the thing that is really cool and really key about this, which I'm going to show you, if we go to the calendar, I'm jumping back into the Promo Republic one now. How many of you are utilizing like Google Sheets and email to your clients, email back and forth to say, okay, this is all the posts we've scheduled for this month. Are you happy with these? This is the content calendar, etc., etc. Let me know that. And Renee, in order to get back to your question, so when will Instagram be approved? I personally don't have an exact date. I know the Promo Republic team don't have an exact date. Facebook and Instagram are still holding up on their API access. So no new suppliers are able to have this direct integration at the moment. Promo Republic went through the application process a very, very long time ago, so they are there. So once the API gets opened up again, I'm sure they'll be one of the first ones, but unfortunately I don't have a time frame. Maybe if you chat with the support team on Promo Republic, they might know a little bit more for you. And Google My Business, within the agency specific solution, there is a Google My Business integration. I'm not sure about standard Promo Republic. I don't know a ton about Google My Business, so you might have to check that out and talk to the team about it using the button that I put up on the screen, because there is definitely a Google My Business integration at some level. I just don't know how deep that goes. So the next thing you can do, which is really, really key to improving client collaboration, which can help you with your ROI methods, is instead of having to go backwards and forwards on email and using like Google Sheets and all that boring stuff now, you can use client collaboration within Proving Republic. So let's say this is a post that we scheduled. We can schedule it, but we can schedule it for approval for our clients, and our clients will be notified. And then when they come and log into our white labeled version of the tool, they'll be able to see it like this. Okay, do we want to approve this? Do we want to edit this? And they can come in, make suggested changes. They can remove it. They can do all kinds of stuff to it here. So this is a great way to really speed up client collaboration. Hello, everybody. Jonathan is back here. I think we had an issue. Something cut out. Can you hear me? Please let me know if you can hear me. Yep. Okay, great. Okay. I'm really sorry about that, everyone. I'm not too sure what happened. I don't know. Like, how much did you see before things cut off? Where did we get up to? Did you see the post ideas library that I was sharing with you? Let me know, because if you did, we'll just continue and continue through the deck from there. Because I think whenever we try and screen share, we have some issues with this webinar software, which is a real shame. Okay. Okay, you didn't. So you guys will just have to take my word for things. I won't go through and show you more video. We can show some images later on in the webinar. So let's continue. If anybody does, though, want to find out a little bit more about the agency-specific solution, I've just shown you a real quick glimpse. You want to find out more. You also want to get access to the incredible freebies that I mentioned. The button should be on the screen right now. There will only be 5 calls available, so go ahead and do that. So, Mary, what do you use for reporting? Proving Republic, if it's for social media management. I don't actually manage social media for clients. I do PPC, so we build our own reports. But I would really recommend Proving Republic agency solutions reporting for social media. Okay, so tip number 4, And this one is really, really important. I know it seems really obvious, but it's focus on the relationships, right? Solid ROI metrics sometimes aren't enough. And I'm guilty of forgetting this sometimes. I shared that story with you earlier on about losing a client, even though we were generating a positive ROI for them. Instead, you need to think about what does the client like? What do they want to see? You should have learned all this throughout the discovery process. So how can you keep your clients happy? Or how, like, what else can you add? What value adds can there be aside from the standard ROI stuff, aside from the standard offerings? Can you go and visit them a few more times to make them feel guilty if they would ever think about leaving you? Maybe you need to communicate with them more, send them more emails, maybe send them less emails, maybe organize a like co-hosted event with them, do something above and beyond. For example, a client of ours, our agreement was just to manage their ads for them. The ads weren't seeing the best results, and we found out it was because there were some issues with their website. So instead of just telling them that, we went ahead and actually supported them with doing fresh design. We built out a load of landing pages for them. We gave them feedback on their website design and helped them solve those issues. Now, we didn't get paid extra for that, but the client is going to see an additional ROI, like an emotional ROI from working with us there. So Renee says, how, Dylan, you do PPC? PPC is all we do, Renee. We're specialists at that. So you hired someone on Fiverr. Okay, it's a bit of a risk, but I get you. Okay, Cynthia's sound is in and out. Apologies about that, Cynthia. Hopefully things will be working fine in a second. We're going to get on to the fifth and final point, and then we will get to the Q&A thereafter. So number 5, this one is another straightforward tip, but something that is really, really key, and that's just share everything and be honest with your clients. And this is very hard for marketers to do for some reason. I guess it's like asking McDonald's to share their secret sauce or asking Google to share its algorithm. Marketing agencies like to be relatively closed when it comes to talking about their tactics to their clients. I don't know why that is. Maybe some of you think your clients might steal your tactics and do things themselves, but you shouldn't be worried. Your clients don't have the expertise that you do all the time to replicate what you do. Nothing is more frustrating for a small business owner or any business owner than when a marketing firm that they're paying a few $1,000s a month for won't tell them what they're actually doing. And think about if you were paying for a service, how infuriated you would be if that service wouldn't tell you what they're doing step by step, even though what you're doing for a lot of your clients, right? So imagine going to a restaurant, ordering your food, and then waiting for 2 hours before it comes out. Then imagine asking the waitress what is going on, and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't tell you. The methods of the restaurant are secret." Like, imagine you were then spending a couple $1,000s for that dinner as well. You'd be infuriated, right? You'd probably leave and never return. And some of your clients are going to be like that. If you're not getting results for your clients, tell them. Don't lead them along saying we're so close or we're almost there. It just takes time. Be patient. Just be honest. Tell them where you're at right now. And if you don't see the results that you want, clients will appreciate that honesty and that transparency, which actually often creates a stronger partnership once you do start generating results for them. So yeah, as Michael says, the extra pay is client retention. Okay, apologies about that, Cynthia. Hopefully everyone else can still hear. So what we're going to do now, before we get to the Q&A, is just some of the great things about Proving Republic Agency Solution. As I said, I'm an agency owner myself. I wouldn't be here talking about this unless I truly believed in it. Cynthia says she lost me again. Before I get into this next small section and before we wrap up for questions, I do just want to ask, can everybody hear me? Can someone give me a yes in the chat if they can hear me okay? Yep, awesome. Okay, thanks, guys. So this is a kind of side-by-side of how Republic stacks up against the competition out there. And this is completely honest, completely transparent. When we did this calculation, first of all, the thing to say is the Proving Republic agency package starts from only $99 a month, and things like monitoring was only an additional $49 a month. So it's one of the best price solutions out there, but it's definitely... that's not for a reason. I tell the team all the time they should be charging more for the solution because it really is incredible. And we did this calculation and found out an agency that manages maybe 30 social media accounts, has 5 team members who want access to the tool. You want to white label it. You want your clients to be able to access the tool. You want those approval workflows. You want to be able to monitor mentions and hashtags, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Choosing Proving Republic can save you anywhere between $600 and $5,400 every single year over the competition. Now, I used to work at Hootsuite, right? One of the competitors you see here. At Hootsuite, if you wanted approval workflows within your solution, the minimum price was $600 a month. Just to put that into perspective, you can get the same thing with Promo Republic for $99 a month. So the agency solution itself, which I've been preaching because I really, really do believe it will help you create better content, collaborate better with your clients, and report back better. It's split into these three key workflows, which we just touched on. And the way that we support with these three key workflows, this is the stuff that I wanted to show you when the screen cut stopped working. I know many of you know this, some of you don't. Prime Republic has its own built-in graphics editor, similar to what you have access to on things like Canva, but directly within the tool itself, which also comes with a library of over 100,000 different pre-made, ready-to-go social posts for all of your clients. Now, we have this collaboration platform specifically for agency owners, like we talked about earlier on, where you can collaborate with your clients, set things for approval, build out really attractive content calendars directly within Promo Republic, just like this. Fully branded, fully split between all of your different clients. We then have customer business profiles so that you don't need to log in and log out to get to your different client accounts. You can separate out your client accounts very easily and switch between them at the click of just one button. And they can all be set up with their own branding, their own visuals, etc. So that is the core elements, the core components. I want to thank everyone for sticking with us, even though we lost you at some point because of the screen sharing. I hope you found today valuable. I hope you found those 5 tips valuable, the kind of information that I shared useful. And I really would encourage you, if you are running an agency, if you're working on social media management for your client, you want to work better with those clients, get them better results, spend less time and less money on resources, then utilizing the agency specific solution of Promo Republic really will help you out. And if you use the link that's on the screen right now, the first 5 people that schedule a call, I'll be honest with you, I can't check the back end right now, so there might only be 1 call left, or there might be none left, I don't know. But the first 5 people that schedule a call will get a discount on the ridiculously cheap price anyway. You'll get a discount, and you'll get access to a ton of incredible freebies that we mentioned earlier on. So if you have any questions, big or small, about the agency solution, just go ahead and jump on a call, because you will get access to some great resources. Either way, even if you don't, go ahead and become a customer. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. If anybody has questions, I have some time to sit back and answer them. So please put them in the chat box. And if not, thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you on another session very, very soon. So any questions, get them in for us now. Hey, Mary. Okay, that is okay. Thanks for that feedback. Do you know who you spoke with? Because I talk with 2 people in the marketing team every couple of days, and they were the guys that put together all of these resources. So I will screenshot what you've just written now. Mary, maybe if you could let me know your surname too, I'd really appreciate that. Mary, if you could just let me know your surname. I've just screenshotted what you said. I'm going to share it with the marketing team at Promo Republic and make sure someone gets you those resources. Oh, thanks, Michael. I actually haven't published an episode on the podcast for over 6 months now. So you'll have like maybe 30 episodes that you can look and listen to, but there isn't any new stuff there. Just to be transparent with you, I'm working on potentially relaunching it. Mary, if you just let me know your surname, I've screenshotted your message and I'm sending it to the team right now. I'm putting it in Slack so I can make sure someone follows up with you. No worries, Michael. I also have a YouTube channel if you want to go ahead and check that out. YouTube is where I'm most active at the moment. Just search Dylan Hay on YouTube and you'll find me. Okay, Mary, I've shared your issue with the marketing team, so someone will get back to you about that. But if you could let me know your surname, that would be really useful, so I can make sure they send it to the right Mary. No worries, Renee, thank you. I hope you enjoyed today's webinar. Okay, Mary, I've just shared that with the Proving Republic team, and they said they're going to get back to you as soon as possible on that. So apologies. I'll also share your email with them right now. Done. It's done for you, Mary. So someone will get back to you with that pretty quickly. Awesome. Okay, so it doesn't look like anyone has any other questions. So I'm going to wrap things up now. I hope some of you took up the offer of scheduling that call with the team so you can get access to some of this great material and learn how this solution can support you. Thank you everyone for the support. I hope you enjoyed today, and I will see you, I believe next week we have another session, but check back on the Proving Republic website. You'll be able to see all up-to-date info there. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.